Your thoughts, very brief thoughts on regulation. I'm not sure if you have any issues on regulation with your services. Also, if you believe we're reaching a plateau or we still a huge scope for growth. But also an additional question. You, over the last couple of years, you have changing your business model, you have evolving your business model. Is it the hardest part to make it right? It's to find the right business model in order to grow?
I think this is the whole name sharing economy is a misnomer. I was actually, this reminds me of an article I read a year ago on Harvard Business Review. They call it an access economy because there is no social angle to this. This is pure utilitarian. People want trusted, convenient, low-cost option. And obviously, the current businesses that exist there cannot provide that. So that is where we come in. Uniplaces comes in, Airbnb comes in, because hotels, the traditional businesses cannot offer that, which is our case as well. 75% of the businesses registered with us are independent professionals. They are not companies. So because the traditional companies cannot provide all of this in a single package, they cannot provide all of this. So that is where the friction starts. The legislations are made for businesses, not when you want to disrupt a sector where you give a low-cost, trusted, convenient option. Obviously, the counter-argument could be, yes, you can train the other people, which is like, let's say, taxi drivers. You can learn them to be more hospitable, clean taxis, but that is like years away. But the consumers want an option today. So this is where we see a lot of friction. This also leads to one of your questions regarding the business model. We used to have initially a commission-based business model. We used to hold on to the money for a while until the job is done. Then we would pass it on to the consumer. There is no law to regulate that. The comparable law that they pointed out to us is what Breeza has for the toll gates, because it's a separate company that collects for it. Now, how do you apply that to a startup like Zosk? How do you convince the authorities that it is an option? So this is one of the problems. The number two is also the mindset of the consumer. Their mindset is so embedded into some traditional models that it is not always easy for you to change their mindset. Like Uber adopting cash payments in India is one good example. You can't change it. So you have to adapt in some cases. You give the same convenience the consumers are expecting, kind of be flexible with the regulation. So we had to obviously change the business model to survive. One, also to fight the regulation. Number two, also to give an option to consumers. Consumers are used to, like when you have a pipe broken, they don't want to put a credit card paid online. They just want to pay it in cash and be done. Obviously, this leads to the question of, okay, so how much money is being not paid as taxes? But we do provide tools necessary to do it, but unfortunately, the regulations, like he was saying, is not catching up enough. The consumers want all these options today. But the rule book says that, well, it is not as easy as it could be. So sometimes you try to fight it. If you have the muscle like Airbnb, you fight it. If you don't have the muscle, you adapt to the realities, which is also what we did.
The evolution of your business model is derived from necessity from the regulations, or part of it?
Part of it. The other part is the consumers. Consumers are still not used to using credit cards to make payments for a broken pipe or whatever. So we just let them pay to the professionals, and we evolved on our business model.
Thank you. Next round, we need to be fast this time. One of the things that comes to my mind when we're talking about this sharing economy, and as Andreas is saying, is more than not just sharing, not in the pure sense. You all have businesses that somehow have multi-sided platforms, and in this type of businesses, it's very important to have a balanced quality between demand and supply, between those that are users or those that are looking for a rental or whatever, if it is students or not, or if it's a professional service, and also the quality of those that are in the platform offering their services. How do you cope with this? What do you actually do in order to try to balance, if you do anything at all? And how do you micromanage this balance between supply and demand in your multi-sided platform? Angel?
This is about two key elements on the sharing economy when it comes to precisely regulations and policies. One of the key elements, and something we didn't mention before, probably the key element for any sharing economy business model to succeed is trust. You have to create tools that allow an environment of trust between the two peers that will get in contact. Once you create this tool, you have the base for allowing quality and allowing quality to happen. Transparency is strong and robust reputation, online reputation tools, growing a community that is aware of some service standards, that is aware of the very activity, what they are doing, how it evolves. And finally, and very importantly, again, clear rules, smart rules that apply to this activity also has an impact on quality. So it's basically a triangle between what the platform as a new technology can provide in terms of transparency and trust, what the regulator can provide in terms of smart regulations and good regulatory tools, and what the very community of users can develop as the main characters of the activity. So by managing wisely this triangle, you create quality, and actually in the sharing economy context, we don't only have quality, but we go beyond that, creating meaningful experiences and experiences that everybody agrees that go beyond what you could get in the traditional commercial economy.
Okay. Andre, for a startup not well established like Airbnb, is this a challenge for you to have this quality issue on both sides?
It's always a challenge. I mean, I would echo what Angel just said. Of course, trust is always the number one concern. Also, I think the second one might be the transactional process. So, a lot of sharing economies startups failed because of the transactional process. For example, imagine when talking about sharing economy, they always use the drawer and the hole in the wall example. So you don't actually need a drawer, you need a hole in the wall, right? So why would you buy a drawer to use it just once? So if a drawer costs, $50, so you don't want to spend that money, you just spend $2 to rent that drawer. But the drawer is 20 kilometers away and you have to get it from the owner, and that will actually cost you more money. So it's not convenient, right? And this is just one example. So I think one is making sure the transactional process is very convenient for the user after trust, and then of course you have to reach that critical mass where it starts growing by itself. And again, in the topic of regulation, I think also the company itself has to be self-regulated in the sense that, for example, because we're already doing that. For example, if you look at BlaBlaCar, which is a ride-sharing company, we're actually self-regulating hitchhiking, right? We're not doing something new. Hitchhiking already happens, right? So actually, we're doing that in a more transparent way. Student accommodation already happens. Students were already renting rooms from ever, right? But the market was disorganized and there was no transparency. There was information asymmetry, so the student from Italy had no idea what's the average rent price in Bairro Alto in Lisbon, for example. And now he knows because he has all of these offers, right? So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. Silva, what are your views about this need about having quality, balanced quality between the two sides?
No, the quality control is very essential for a two-sided marketplace. That is also one of the reasons probably sharing economy is not the right word, because sharing is like you just share. I share with him. There is no quality, there is no review, nothing. I just share with him. So there is a lot of startups that tried doing it and it has failed. The ones that have succeeded are the ones that do certain amount of quality control. Part of it, you leave it with the consumers. They rate the professionals or the houses and anything. Early on, you have to do some quality control to see what you let into your two-sided marketplace. Amazon is also a marketplace. eBay is also a marketplace. There is more trust in Amazon than on eBay. So because of the quality control that happens. So for us, at least on professional services, even if we are a marketplace and a particular professional does something wrong, it always reflects on the brand Zosk, which probably is the case with Uniplaces or Airbnb. Airbnb had to go through a lot of quality control after certain incidents. So it is paramount. I think in a two-sided marketplace, quality control and trust is paramount.
Probably now we have 6 minutes left. I was going to open for some Q&A from the audience. So we have here 3 representatives for the, between commas, sharing economy. Any questions that you want to pose to our speakers about innovation in this field?
I have a question for Andre. He mentioned the idea of a think tank for both sides, so the city halls and for regulation. How would you do that? So I think that's a very clever idea, and I think that somebody should take charge of it. So how would you do that?
Well, I'm not an expert on the matter, but I mean, like I said in the example, I think of course the legislators, so and representatives of the public in general. So could that be on the and if that could be national level, could be on the European Union level or a city level. So of course all the people that would be affected for that business in particular. And like I said, a couple of visionaries, so people that can, think ahead on the possible implications of this. Yeah, that's it. I don't really know how this would, develop further.
Angel, do you have experience with Airbnb on this? Trying to create liaison with the local authorities or municipal authorities to create these think tanks to discuss?
Yeah. In fact, there are interesting international networks on sharing economy, people who are thinking together on how to define the concept, to define within the concept of the sharing economy the different business models, the different scales, global, local, and also they reflect on regulation, they reflect on dialogue with governments. In Europe, probably the most influential one is WeShare. It's a French-based network, but they are quite influential. And around them, there are also think tanks on innovation. For example, Nesta in the UK have been doing some work on that. Innovation agencies of the different governments, universities, and particularly the startup accelerators, startup hubs in the different cities also play a crucial role in thinking about the sharing economy and developing the concept. And I would like to take the advantage of this question to actually to point that I kind of disagree with Kiruba and Andre on the definition of the sharing economy. I still believe the terms are very useful, and are very useful because they are very comprehensive. It's simple, and it's a definition that really encompasses a large number of business models that can be in any degree of professionalism and non-professionalism. The basic concept of the sharing economy as the better use, the more efficient use of underused assets through the intensive use, of new technologies is a basic definition that really help understand all the rest of business models that deploy from this very concept. In fact, the European Commission used it and sealed it as a tool to define the phenomenon, to define the paradigm, and also to make the distinction, crucial distinction between what it is a professional service provider and a non-professional service provider, which is probably the most innovative and most revolutionary part of the sharing economy. So those non-professionals that, thanks to the new technologies and the capacity, the network creative capacity of new technologies, they can share actually assets that belong to their private space. For example, a primary residence, your permanent residence, the place where you live, through Airbnb, for example. A place which is defined as your primary residence and not as an accommodation service per se. So this term, the sharing economy, is still very useful to give this flexibility, this conceptual flexibility to the whole movement. And then from there you can really go to the different business models and go for different definitions, different concepts.
Thank you. No further questions?
So can I just address that question?
Sure.
So we have done something not through a think tank, but one of the things we did was a study on the sentiment of small businesses and independent professionals in Portugal. We ran it as a pilot. What we did was we have a community of 45,000 independent professionals and businesses registered with us. So we asked them an opinion on certain issues that impact their day-to-day business life. And what we did was we prepared a study, and we basically gave them a voice. We amplified that, and we spread it across to the municipalities and everything. The response from what we have seen has been quite well, because we as a platform, we cannot push something that is of our interest. So what we did was we amplified the voice of these professionals who have some day-to-day problems, and this was taken in a much larger scale, given the reach we could have that they would not have as individuals, to the media, to the municipalities and everything. And we have seen good response to that. It was discussed a lot, it was debated a lot, certain points were even addressed. So to take this further, the next year, what we are planning to do is we are planning to partner with certain governmental organizations to do the same study. So this is not probably a very active approach as think tank involving legislators, but this is basically using the businesses and amplifying their voice to the public, to the media, and to the governmental organizations.
Thank you. I think we have reached right now the time. Thank you for our speakers. So they'll be available, so you can have, if you have further questions, please go. Round of applause to them. Thank you.